and then wait until I get over to my desk. Okay. No. Okay, let me, you can wait a second, I'll drop out some of them. Oh, okay. Chris, is this yours? Is this yours? Oh, okay.
Well, no, it's just there was a phone sitting there.
And I didn't hear it. Are we recording on Zoom? Can we stop at this side? Oh, what? Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, good evening. It is 6:32 p.m. We're going to call the meeting to order. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oak, Texas will be held on Thursday, October 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at Sandy Oak City Hall, located at 4451 Hickory Haven, Sandy Oaks, Texas 78112, which will be live streamed and accessible to the public as provided below for the purpose of considering the following agenda items. All agenda items are subject to action. In an effort to advance the public health goal of limiting face-to-face meetings, also called social distancing, to slow the spread of coronavirus, COVID-19, there will be no in-person public access to the meeting. In accordance with the order of the Office of the Governor issued March 16, 2020, the City of Sandy Oaks will provide a live stream video and telephonic access of the meeting to the public. The public may participate in this meeting using the links provided on the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments telephonically or by audio as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting. Written comments may be submitted to the city secretary up to 2 hours before the meeting by emailing cityclerk@cityofsandyoaks.com and will be provided to the City Council for their consideration. Recording of the telephonic meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. Ms. Shelton, can we get a quorum call, please?
Alderman Fillinger.
Here.
Alderman Tremblay.
Here.
Alderman Rapino.
Here.
Alderman Fuente. And we do have Alderman Walker absent, but you do
have a quorum, and we also have
Attorney Cassandra Ortiz on Zoom call.
Okay, let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, citizens to be heard. Ms. Shelton, do we have any citizens to be heard?
no, we did not.
Let's move on to item 4, consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. We have 2 items on consent agenda. Item A, approve September 2020 City Attorney Invoice 1259 from Casan and Ortiz, not to exceed $2,511.50. And item B, approve the minutes from the October 8th, 2020 regular City Council meeting.
Yeah, I move we accept the consent agenda, ma'am.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger to accept the consent agenda as presented. Do we have a second?
Second, Alderman Tremblay.
Alderman Tremblay seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous and the motion carries. Item 5A. I'm gonna pull item 5A. Marshall Lopez is already gone for the evening.
Did confirm he had no updates or announcements anyways.
Okay, thank you. Item 5B, discuss and/or possible action on quote received for the purchase of thermal printer and hardware for the Marshall Chevy Tahoe. From our last discussion, these were items that were still needed for as part of the total retrofit for the Tahoe that we're putting in service. And the total cost on that is $880.
I move we approve. Agenda item 5B. Try again.
There you go.
I move to approve item 5B.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to approve the quotas presented from Peacemaker Technologies for the purchase of the thermal printer for $880. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that is unanimous and the motion carries. Item 5C, discuss and or possible action on quote received for the purchase of 4 tires with warranty for the Marshall Chevy Tahoe. We have a quote here from Discount Tire, and with the certificates for replacement and the disposal fees, installation, all the pieces that go with that. These are police rated tires, and the total, there's 2 quotes on here. Without the certificate, $735. With the certificate, $910.71. If I'm not mistaken, Ms. Shelton, that certificate is the free repair, the warranty, not the warranty, but the extended.
Should be rotation, lifetime rotation and replacement prorated.
Prorated, right.
Right.
For
Yeah,
the
it
life
says-
of the tire.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, replacement as well.
Replacement as well. Okay.
Yeah, I move to approve the quote from Discount Tire for the quote, including the certificates for $910.71.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino to approve the quote from Discount Tire for $910.71 to replace the tires with warranty for the Marshall Chevy Tahoe. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous and the motion carries. Okay. Item 6A, updates and announcements from Animal Control Advisory Committee Chair CJ Walker with possible discussion and or action. We will pull that as she is absent. Item 6B, accept resignation of Stephen Groover from the Animal Control Advisory Committee. He did contact me last week, and I'm trying to remember what day. Due to personal circumstances, he is resigning from that position.
Move we accept the resignation of Stephen Gruber from the Animal Control.
We have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to accept the resignation of Stephen Gruber from the Animal Control Advisory Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous and the motion carries. Item 6C, accept resignation of Catherine Gruber from the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee. Similar thing, they have some personal things happening in their life and both need to back away for a while.
Just, gone before the advisory committee, before they came to council.
No, they don't need to. The advisory committee can make a recommendation to council, but the nominations and the accepting resignations happens at the council.
Could you confirm for everyone what the question is? I didn't hear that one.
Yes, the question was, should these resignations from any committee, be it animal control advisor, PC, the planning and zoning, I would think that these resignations would go before the committees. If nothing else, for courtesy.
I would defer that to Ms. Ortiz.
No, that would be something that would be just the say or discussion of council. It wouldn't be something that would necessarily be the authority of the committees to make a recommendation or to make a decision on to council.
Main reason being, should the committee chairperson be surprised by these resignations forward?
She's aware, yes.
Okay.
So we're looking for a motion on 6C.
I move that we accept the resignation of Catherine Gruber from the Animal Advisory Committee.
David, would you turn the mic on?
Might be your. Everyone's muted over here. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know whose it was.
I'm having trouble hearing some of the audio.
Again,
Move
Yeah.
that we accept the resignation of Catherine Gruber from the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Alderman Fuente to accept the resignation of Catherine Gruber from the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous, that motion carries. Item 7A, Public Works, update and announcements from the Park Advisory Committee Chair Tom Rapino with possible discussion and or action.
Yes, the only thing I have to bring before the council is that we got some quotes from a firm for resurfacing the playground area, and they and also for providing shade for the playground area. And both quotes were way out of our range financially to do. So we decided to go ahead and forestall any motion on resurfacing the playground area and take it off of our agenda for the time being, and look for other ways to provide shade for the playground area.
It's the speaker. I think it's the speaker. It's that big speaker over there.
Sound man.
There's an open mic.
And that's all I have to provide for on this issue.
We're having a little technical difficulty trying to resolve that real quick.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I heard everything you said while you were saying it.
Static, yeah, on the speaker. Okay, all the electronic. Okay, item 7B, discuss and or possible action on a quote received for the purchase of a Dell desktop computer with monitor for the Public Works employee's desk. Jerry was able to get us a quote on this Dell for a desktop unit as opposed to a laptop. And the laptop that had previously been used by the prior Public Works, I'm using it now for city business because my personal computer died. And that way it gives me access to some of the shared drives and stuff here. And so we needed to replace something for Public Works. And we, excuse me, we have a quote here from JDL, which is Jerry, for $1,662.50. Comes with a monitor. It's a desktop. Catherine, if I'm not mistaken, it's similar to what you have is your setup, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
With a mouse and a keyboard.
It comes with the optical mouse, the keyboard, 12 meg, 2.3 gigahertz, Windows 10.
This would come out of the Public Works.
It would, yes.
Yeah, move to approve the purchase of the Dell computer for Public Works, cost not to exceed, we say $1,700.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino to purchase the Dell desktop computer with the monitor for the Public Works employee's desk for a price not to exceed $1,700. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries and it was unanimous. Item 8A, discuss and or possible action on approving ordinance 2020-175, amending ordinance 2014-5, establishing the city office of the city secretary / clerk. And what we're doing here, this is not the red line version, Catherine, but basically it's section 9 that we're amending. Is that correct? Charles? No?
Section 4 previously read the city clerk, excuse me, section 4 term of the city clerk. Previously read the city clerk shall serve for such a term that the mayor may desire. The change is the city clerk shall serve for such a term that the city council may desire. That's the sole
This will
amendment.
change. Yeah.
I would like to move that we approve this, and I would ask for a roll call vote.
I think they just lost audio. I couldn't hear you anymore in my headset.
It was
Okay,
very low.
you can hear now, Cassandra?
I could decipher what he was saying, but it was very low. So if Alderman Fillinger, if you could just repeat your motion.
I will repeat my motion. I recommend we approve ordinance number 2020-175, amending ordinance 2014-5. And I also request a roll call vote because 2014-5 requires a 2/3 vote of council.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger. Okay. We have a motion by Alderman Fillinger to approve ordinance 2020-175, which is amending ordinance 2014-5, section 4, and a second by Alderman Rapino. And I will do a roll call vote on that. Alderman Fillinger, yea or nay?
Yea.
Alderman Tremblay, yea or nay?
Yea.
Alderman Rapino, yea or nay?
Yay.
Alderman Puente, yea or nay? So we do have the required votes to approve that, and so that motion carries.
With this being an ordinance, does it require a second reading? I'm asking, does this require a second reading? No? Okay.
No, I don't believe it. Ms. Ortiz, would this require a second reading?
Actually, yes, it would require the second reading, unless waived by council. So what I would suggest doing is withdrawing the motion or retracting the vote, waiving the second reading if that's what council wants to go forward with, and then redoing the vote.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we waive the second reading of the ordinance.
I think what she said was we have to recall the vote and start over. On the microphone, because he's got two.
No.
Another one?
I'll just take that off.
No. We have to get it. Try this.
Much better. Okay. I move we recall the vote approving ordinance number 2020-175.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger to, what did you call it? Recall. Let's say something else. Recall the vote for item 8A, which was to approve the ordinance 2020-175.
I'll second.
We have a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number.
Waive the second reading.
Second reading.
Okay. I move we waive the second reading of ordinance number 2020-175.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to waive the second reading for ordinance 2020-175. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous and that motion carries. Okay, now continue.
Okay. Now, I would like to make a motion that we approve City of San Diego's ordinance number 2020-175.
Second that.
Okay, Alderman Fillinger has made a motion to approve ordinance 2020-175 and a second by Alderman Rapino. We will do a roll call vote on this one. Alderman Fillinger.
Aye.
Alderman Tremblay.
Aye.
Alderman Rapino.
Aye.
And Alderman Puente. Okay, and Alderman Walker is absent, so that motion carries. Okay, thank you. Item 8B, discuss and or possible action on combining duties of court clerk and some of the city secretary duties and compensation. So we have had a real challenge trying to find somebody to fill that court clerk position. And in the meantime, Catherine has been stepping up, working with both the prosecutor and the judge. And it was actually at their recommendation that we possibly consider Catherine for that position, that she's been doing an exceptional job. There's still more to learn, but she's very capable of doing that. And so the thought was to, and if you recall, some of you may recall from way back in the beginning, when we were talking about these two positions, it was suggested at that time that many municipalities have somebody who serves in both of those roles. The challenge here is it's more work than one person can do. So by moving her to accept the additional responsibilities for the court clerk and retain some of the duties that are important that she's already been appointed, such as public information officer, maintaining the agendas, working with the auditors, the QuickBooks, all those things. But there's a lot of other administrative type activities that are just time, they just take up time that could easily be handled by somebody else, such as answering the phones or doing filing or ordering supplies or, you know, helping people with yard sale permits and such. So the goal here is to, and you should each have this list right here. Okay. So I had asked Catherine last week if this was something she might be interested in doing. And she was in agreement that it would be something she would be open to considering. And so I asked her at that time to kind of keep track of the amount of time that she spends working the court clerk desk and also the city clerk desk. And if I'm not mistaken, Michelle, then it came out to like 70% court.
Yeah, lately it's been mostly court because there was a recent court date. I would probably say average 50-50. Yeah, maybe 50-50.
So on this list here, and I just made my own notes on here. So the first item says receptionist, counter, and phones. We would be looking to possibly hire a part-time, just administrative worker to come in and take over some of these duties. So receptionist working the counter and the phones. Catherine would work with them on maintaining the website. It's pretty simple once you learn how it works. So that would be something that they could take over. Schedule the pavilion bookings, process the permit applications, help with purchasing supplies, maintain the supplies inventory, and then work with Catherine on the record keeping aspects. There's just there's a lot that has to be maintained. And then she would retain the following: create and post agendas for the council and the various committees, create the minutes of the council meetings, attend the council meetings, process payroll, public information officer, record management officer, help with audit preparations, and maintain QuickBooks. And she would manage her time between those two functions. So that's the purpose of that item on the agenda. And then as far as the compensation, well, before we go to the compensation piece, is there any questions from the council on the roles and responsibilities?
So my only concern is we have a really great city secretary slash clerk. We don't want her loaded up to the point where we get into a burnout situation. Thinking about you.
Thank you.
No, I totally agree. And I think the ultimate goal is that we bring somebody in a part-time position now. I fully expect by the time we get to the point where we've added our third deputy, that's the tipping point. And so the goal would be to bring somebody in that can learn what's going on and then start offloading some more of this work that they could take on. But I think for now, this configuration will work. Both the judge and the prosecutor are in agreement. There's been meetings. They've been having meetings. Catherine went to
Leon Valley.
Valley today. They had their court and she learned how they operate it. We're going to go with the Zoom court so we can start clearing the dockets. And anyway, so she's getting up to speed very, very quickly on what's needed to get the courts running again.
Okay.
The challenge then would be to find somebody to fill the part-time admin position.
Okay.
But I will tell you from the applications that we got for the court clerk position, there were a number of individuals who have that background and experience. They weren't qualified necessarily for the court clerk, but they
Right.
certainly could do this.
Okay.
So we need to also consider in the motion how you want to proceed. You know, do we want to advertise? Do we want to just go forth and find somebody, or?
I think that'll be in the next agenda item.
I see that. Okay.
I don't know why it says A on
It says
mine.
A.
No, it's supposed to be C, D, E, F. Sorry.
Yeah, I see that. And I would tend to agree with you, Alderman Billinger, that the role she provides is very, very valuable. It's not a resource I think that we can afford to lose.
If this is something you've discussed with Catherine,
I have, yes.
so.
Well, it started with the prosecutor and the judge because we were trying to figure out what are we going to do. We've had two people who committed to accepting the position and backed out at the last minute. And we just can't keep going down that path. We got to move forward. And they're the ones who made the recommendation because she has been working with them. They felt very comfortable and confident that she's able to do that.
Well, I think we should, we could move forward with this suggestion, I guess. And things are not working out.
I think we lost your audio.
Right, hold on.
There you go. I got you back. I can hear you in my ear. Go ahead.
Okay, how about now?
Yep.
Okay. We should move forward with this maybe on a trial basis, see how it works out. If Catherine is comfortable with it and wants to stay doing it, or we go and reach out and re-advertise the position and continue trying to fill the position on a full-time basis with a court clerk. Not to say Catherine can't do the work, but I'm just saying if she's not comfortable with it down the road, then you just have to go back out.
Well, let's ask her.
I think when she gets her feet in it, and
Oh,
starts,
she's been in it.
Oh, I've been in it.
getting her feet wet,
I've been in it since August 20th.
smashing grapes and making wine.
She's actually been doing it since the vacancy was created.
So for 2 months, I've been doing it. The challenge is stopping and answering phones or incoming people. That's the challenge.
Yeah, the interruptions.
The
When
interruptions.
you're working with the court stuff, you really do have to concentrate on what you're doing to make sure it's a little bit more.
Well, that's the case, and would I move we approve combining the duties of court clerk and some of the secretary duties.
Okay.
So we'll end up with two motions on this one then. So we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to approve combining the duties of court clerk and some of the city secretary duties. We have a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous and that motion carries. Okay, the second part of that would be the compensation. So what you have in front of you, this is just an example. The item that's in blue on the top is based on a comparison from last year. So the previous court clerk was being paid $25 an hour and was working 24 hours a week. And Ms. Shelton as the as the city secretary, this is the new rate though. I think this is wrong.
Well, this was, had she still been with us, yeah, this is it. I mean, it was what, a 45 cent.
It's close
rate.
enough,
Yeah.
but equating $16 an hour for 40 hours. So just using those two numbers, those were two full-time or one full-time, one part-time position in those roles, and that's what the annual full salary equivalent or the annual amount was that we were paying for those two resources. If you look at the area in green, again, I had asked Ms. Shelton to give me an idea of the amount of time that would be needed based on her full week last week, and she came up with 18 hours. We could do 18, we could do 20, you know, if you want to do a full part-time, you know, a true part-time. But adjusting the, for the combined court clerk and city secretary duties at a rate of 21 an hour, and then 40 hours a week on that one, and then bringing in a assistant at $12.50 an hour. And if you look at the combined values of those, it's still less than what we paid last year for those
Right,
two
so
positions.
I didn't see this until meeting time. My only question would be, does the budget, will it be able to sustain these numbers?
It will.
What we're saying is we will move,
It's already, go ahead.
what we're saying is we will then pay Catherine 21 an hour for 40 hours.
Well, and as I explained, this is just an example. And so the council will make the recommendation for the rate, but I'm just throwing this out here as an example. And that, yes, so what we're doing is looking to set an hourly rate for her with the combined roles.
And the assistant would be probably $12.50 an hour for trying to get anybody worth their salt.
Right.
Probably.
We could, you know, I mean, we could set a range on that as well. You know, trying to find somebody who's interested in coming in and learning how this works, maybe has some free time, wants to do a little extra work on the side, you know. And again, this is just an example.
Not going to be an easy job.
I
don't
don't see a
either.
reason to.
I think she's more than worth it. Catherine was unhappy.
Sure, I'd go ahead and move to approve the hourly rates for the alternates at a combined duties rate of $21 an hour. And that we would move forward with an assistant position that would pay $12.50 an hour to
Well,
start.
we'll talk about the assistant in the next section. So right now, we're just talking about the combined values.
Right, okay, I'd move then,
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino.
Can I interrupt you and ask when that should begin, just as a part of the motion?
We should include when it should start. Like,
right, effective date would be 10/23.
10/23.
10/23.
This was already done.
Right. We got 2 months free. Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino to adjust the hourly rate of pay for the combined responsibilities of the court clerk and the city secretary duties as discussed at 21 an hour, effective October 23rd of 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries, and it was unanimous. Okay, item, which should be item C, discuss and or possible action on hiring a part-time admin to assist with the city secretary duties. So what we need to determine is how do you want to do that? in a time frame and a salary range.
I'm guessing we could advertise, probably just start with the city website. We'll probably get somebody here local, use the city website. I'm going to prepare a job description, or are you just going to go with utilize the existing job description?
I could probably,
You have one.
I don't know if we have one for an assistant. I could look through the city secretary one and then remove some of it and then just keep those that I think that an assistant can do,
Okay.
if that's what you want me to do.
Actually, you could leave that fairly open because every duty of the city secretary.
I lost you, video, audio.
Sorry.
No, that's, okay, there you go.
Actually, you can just post that as assistant to the city secretary. All of the city secretary duties are listed for their deputy as assigned. So
Oh,
go ahead and be an admin. I would just advertise for an administrative assistant to the city secretary.
So who would like to make a motion?
Okay. Y'all help me every chance you get. I would like to make a motion that we advertise the position of administrative
I think,
secretary, offer a beginning salary of $12.50 an hour.
I keep losing, you're going in and out now.
We can't even hardly hear what y'all are saying.
Okay, we'll try again. I would like to make a motion that we advertise on the city website for an administrative assistant to the city secretary of the city of Sandy Oaks with a beginning salary of $12.50 an hour and beginning with an 18-hour week and at the city clerk's judgment up to 24 hours a week.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger to advertise on the city website for an administrative assistant for initially at 18 hours a week up to possibly 24 hours a week at $12.50 an hour. And a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries and that is unanimous. Okay, let's move on to item D. Discuss possible action on the creation of a temporary two-person planning and zoning committee solely for the purpose of the development of the initial zoning regulations and the appointment of two people to the temporary planning and zoning committee. So the challenge has been actually attaining a quorum when we are scheduling the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. And as the chair is a voting member on that commission, it's presented some challenges from a communication standpoint with the other commissioners. So I have stepped in to kind of be the liaison, if you will, amongst them to hopefully garner their support to attend the meetings. But in discussion with our city attorney, it was discussed that we could appoint these two-member committees, subcommittees, if you will, to address certain items. Then they would bring those before, Mr. Keys, would they bring those before council or back to the P and Z Commission?
So the purpose of this proposal was to be brought to the P and Z Commission first, and then when the P and Z Commission can meet as a quorum, because the meetings have been more for workshop purposes, so it'd be these two members doing the workshop purpose and presenting a plan or proposed amendment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission as a whole would make that recommendation to council.
So they would work on the items to bring to the commission in order for them to actually present something or make a recommendation to the city council. So, you know, I'm wondering, I think I'm going to move on to the other two items first, and we'll come back to this one, if y'all don't mind. Let's go to the next item, which is accept resignation of Stephen Groover from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So similar from the animal control, needed to back out, so.
Okay, I move that we accept the resignation of Stephen Gruber from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to accept the resignation of Stephen Groover from the Planning and Zoning Commission. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous and that motion carries. Item 8F, discuss and or possible action on nominations to fill a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission and appoint a member to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I do have a nomination, and Ms. Ortiz, may I make that nomination?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I do have a nomination to make. Had a conversation with a gentleman who's lived out in this area for many years. One of the, what I call them, the OH, the original homeowners out here. And he is agreeable. I hope he is on the call.
He is.
And so, Mr. Ken Bradshaw, would you be willing to accept the nomination to fill a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
You need to unmute yourself, Mr. Bradshaw.
Can you unmute him?
I can ask to unmute him, but I can't unmute him.
Okay,
There you
can
go.
you hear me now?
Now we hear you.
Okay, yes, I would be willing to accept a position on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, sir. So there, I've made a nomination.
You need to
Okay.
appoint, I think. She nominates.
You have to
Oh, I
accept
have
the nomination.
You have to appoint.
You were right.
Yes.
I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to nominate, to appoint Kim Bradshaw to fill the vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And thank you, Mr. Bradshaw. And Ms. Ortiz, do I need to schedule a time for a swearing in for Mr. Bradshaw?
It could be at any time. It doesn't need to be during a meeting.
Okay, so Mr. Bradshaw, I'll get in touch with you and we'll make arrangements to come down here to City Hall and do a swearing in and get pictures and all that good stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go back up to item D. So we were back talking about the creation of a temporary two-person planning and zoning committee solely for the purpose of the development of the initial zoning regulations and appointment of two people to the temporary planning and zoning commission, or it says committee. Now that we have Mr. Bradshaw in place, I would like to recommend that the chair, Melissa Hadley, and Mr. Bradshaw be appointed to that two-person committee?
I would like to nominate Melissa Bradshaw or Melissa Hadley and Ken Bradshaw to be the temporary planning and zoning committee to take recommendations. To bring to council.
Okay. We have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to appoint Melissa Hadley and Kim Bradshaw to a temporary two-person planning and zoning commission.
I think you need to be,
Committee,
ahead.
sorry.
Cassandra wants to say something.
Has the committee been created yet? That should go first, creation of the committee and then the appointment of the two members.
You haven't created the committee yet by council.
Ms. Ortiz, do we need any other official document such as an ordinance or a resolution in order to create this committee?
It can be by minute order, just by motion of the council. It can be by resolution also if council wants to get into more specifics and have more formal procedures, but any of the discussion tonight can be by just an order of the council or motion by the council and approval.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think we lost audio again. We lost audio again from his mic. I don't hear him in my, there we go.
Okay.
I hear you again. Yep, you're back.
I would like to move that we create a temporary planning and zoning committee for the purpose of the development of the initial zoning regulations. They would then take their recommendations to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Planning and Zoning Commission would come to council with their decisions. So the motion is to create a temporary two-person planning and zoning committee.
Okay,
I'll second.
so we have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino for the creation of a temporary two-person planning and zoning committee solely for the purpose of the development of the initial zoning regulations. And
That's it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries and it is unanimous. Okay, so the second motion is to appoint individuals to that committee.
I'll do it right this time. I move that we appoint the current chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission and Mr. Ken Bradshaw to the temporary planning and zoning committee.
And I'll second it right this time.
Let me see if I can get it right. We have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to appoint Melissa Hadley and Ken Bradshaw to the temporary two-person planning and zoning committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And item 8, it is 7:24 p.m. and we are officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.